G'day chaps. Now I thought I would give you the benefits of my experience basically. So I've been playing The Long Dark for about 3 years now, and it's got to the point where I don't really play too much anymore because I don't really see too much challenge in it. Now this video is for if you're at the sort of intermediate or advanced level basically. So if you're playing at Pilgrim or Voyager, this probably isn't for you. You probably just need to kind of get used to it. But if you're playing at Stalker and you want to advance to Interloper, or you want to get better at Stalker, this is probably going to be useful. Now I'm going to run through these tips. Some of these are going to seem really obvious. Some of them are going to be things that maybe you didn't really think of or you don't really do consistently. And you need to be doing consistently if you want to kind of play in the most effective, efficient way possible. And on Interloper you really do need to do that. Yeah. Also let me know if you think of any things that I've missed. That's going to be useful too. Now I'll load up a game. We'll just kind of run around a little bit so we have something a little more interesting to look at while I talk. But yeah, like I said, some of these are going to be kind of obvious, some of them are not. But you really need to kind of build up habits if you want to do Interloper. If you're interested in seeing how I play Interloper, I have a number of series of me playing Interloper on the channel. If you just go and take a look. I'll just figure out where we are. This looks like Timberwolf Mountain to me. Yes it is. Okay, good, I know where to go. Okay, and it kind of... yeah, this is not a bad spot. Okay, so I'll start with the opportunity that presents itself. So the first thing is, if you're near a rabbit like this, you can run. You don't need to be cautious. So let's take that as number one. If you're near deer as well, you don't need to be cautious. And you should use them, you should chase them ahead of you any and all times you can. Because you can use them as bait, you can use them as a distraction. Because if there is a wolf, for example, up across, just ahead over that hill there, the wolf, you'll kind of hear it bark when it senses a deer or a rabbit. So you'll firstly find out that it's there, and then secondly it will go for the animal instead of you, which is very, very useful, of course. Right, I'm just going to grab this rope, and then we're going to head up to the cave. Alright, so that's number one. Scare the deer and the rabbits towards, well, just scare them in general. Scare them ahead of you. Right, number two. Always, 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 always crouch before you leave a building. And it seems so obvious, and you might be doing this already. It might seem like nothing to you, but make it a permanent thing that you do. Make it a habit. You always want to crouch before you leave buildings. Obviously it's because wolves, and bears will detect you less, but just make it a habit to always crouch before you leave the buildings. Another thing that seems really obvious, number three, always go for high ground. You can see more if you go for high ground. There's no kind of benefit in terms of animals detecting you, but you do need to have the best possible visibility at all times. God, night's coming too. So always go for higher ground. Number four, I think we're up to. Number three, always crouch when you crest hills. This is kind of related to the last one, and again, it seems really obvious, but make it a habit. You can't see over a hill, so always crouch, and you have to fight the urge to be impatient and run and kind of
goddamn freezing
scatter around. But yeah, so always, always, always assume there's something that wants to bite you and eat you on the other side of the hill, and crouch when you crest the hill. It's just good practice. It only takes, especially on Interloper, it only takes one wolf attack and you're done. You're dead. That's it. Alright, number four, are we up to? 5? Always, 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 again, really obvious, always harvest cattails. Another thing interrelated, and this is the next point, you need to get used to starving all day. So One of these is cattails. You need to always harvest cattails. Probably a good idea once you've got enough to start dropping the tinder part of the cattails, because it's not really going to help you. And it's just going to add unnecessary weight. You don't need that many tinders in general. I would say maybe 5, maximum of 10. You don't need too much tinder, but always harvest cattails. They're the only thing pretty much that you're going to live on at the beginning of Interloper. There's going to be no other way for you to get any kind of food. You're not going to have any kind of knife for quite a long time. You can try to get rabbits, but there are very few calories on them, and I tend not to bother with them, to be honest. Yeah, the other point about starving, get used to starving all day. You need to get used to the idea that your condition is going to yo-yo. It's going to go up and down. So during the day, you're just going to lose condition. Through starving, though, you lose condition very, very slowly. It's like if you're too tired. Oh, wow, you're kidding. We're still too cold. So it's still -2 in here. That's shocking. This is how hard it is. And we have no matches or anything. This is crapola. Okay. So yeah, you need to get used to starving all day, every day. And then what you do is you eat all the calories that you have, as much as you can, well, as much as is sensible, before you sleep. So we're going to head down to the hut just to kind of grab some matches and then start a fire and try to survive the night, otherwise we're screwed. The other thing, some people know this, some don't, and it's kind of an exploit. It's been called an exploit, but other people, I mean, they've never fixed it, so it's still in the game. You can crouch to drop entire mountains. So let's say, for example, you're on this map and you get to the top of Timberwolf Mountain. Instead of going back down the hard way, you can actually, and I always crouch to be more careful, but you can make it down incredibly steep inclines in the long dark. So yeah, just kind of get used to the idea that you can drop incredibly steep things without a problem, and you pretty much will survive. Okay, I'm just going to leave that here for later. Okay, I've covered cresting hills. Okay, the next one, this is a good one. Use torches to light torches. So what I'm talking about here is kind of daisy chaining. Now, in the beginning of the game, you're going to have either no matches or very, very, very few matches. So you really need to be very conservative with the matches you use. There's the bear. Here's a little kind of tip. You can use the bear to stay safe from wolves, actually. If you kind of stay just close to the bear actually scares away the wolves, so you can be semi-safe around it. So if you kind of stay this distance so he doesn't quite notice you, you're going to be safe from wolves. So that can be handy. So yeah, using torches to light torches. Let's say, for example, you've only got one match left. Use that match to start an incredibly large fire. And then what you do is you take as many torches as you can from that fire, and then you light one of the torches, you go until it's nearly about to run out, and then you drop it. You take the next torch in your hand and you light it from the one on the floor, and just repeat that. It's also useful for getting through caves. You can get through an entire cave with only using one match. Very useful in the early game in particular, so daisy chain those torches. Number 9, I believe we're up to. Use fishing tackle. So when I used to play Stalker, I didn't really used to fish. I used to think it was boring and unnecessary, so I just never did it. If you're playing Interloper, you have to. You have to fish, basically. You're almost not going to survive the game unless you do. There are 2 reasons. One of them is the oil that you get. Oil is very, very important. It can be used in torches. It can also be used in the lanterns that you get. But the biggest thing is calories. Calories are going to be your enemy in Interloper. It's really, really hard to get food. You're going to be starving a lot of the time. Fishing is an amazing way to get calories. It also gives you a chance, so you have to collect enough wood obviously before you go and fish, but it gives you a chance to sleep, rest, recover, get your condition back up, and also for you, the player, psychologically, it kind of gives you a break from the pressure of playing Interloper, which can be pretty intense. Alright, that's number 9. Finally, I'm not quite sure if this is in the game, but I'm going to mention it anyway. This used to be in the game for sure. I don't know if it's been fixed, because it was technically an exploit. And I found that you could craft at night using a single match. So let's say, for example, you're further in the game, you have an abundance of matches, and you know you have some spare energy before night, and you want to craft something. You can light a match, and then you can start crafting, and let's say the crafting lasts for 15 minutes or an hour. You can kind of continue. Oh god, that's dark. Ooh,
could end up being useful.
That could be very useful. Let's light that so we can actually see something. Cool. Alright, so we have a hat. Let's pop that on before we get too screwed. I'm going to keep on recording just for a minute so that you can see how I actually attack a situation like this. This is quite a good sort of test case for how you play Interloper in the early game. So I didn't try and stay in that cave obviously because I would have just died. But yeah, I'll finish off the point. So if you let me know in the comments if this is still an exploit or not, but yeah, try with the matches and see if you can do crafting at night. So at this stage of the game, right at the beginning, you have to head for structures. You don't start with a bedroll, you don't start with matches. You have to do everything you can to just get to a structure, get to a bed, get warm, just to make it through your first night. Alright, so there you go, there are your matches, there's your wood. I'm going to start a fire, I'm going to sleep, and then tomorrow's another day. You have clothes, there's things you can do, you have a shot. That's how you kind of tackle the beginning of the game. Okay, I hope you find that useful. That's my top 10 advanced tips. Let me know of any more I've missed, and see you in the next one. Ciao for now.